There are really several kinds of small business. There's Main Street small business, so it's the car repair, restaurants, everybody who's part of the fabric of your daily life, the dry cleaner. And they come and they go, and they hire people and they fire people, and they're very important. And actually, most of the small businesses in the country are Main Street, local businesses. But most of the job creation comes from a relatively small number of high-growth entrepreneurs. And when we talk about economic policy to create jobs and drive our economy, these entrepreneurs are kind of America's secret sauce. We need to make sure we are doing everything that we can to have them flourish and succeed so that they can continue to be innovators and create more jobs in the economy. Well, I spent almost all my career in the private sector and never really thought about becoming part of government or public service. But I loved this job. In fact, this is the best job I ever had. And all the things people say about how you can't get anything done in government, you're just going to be frustrated, I did not find that to be true at all. Mm-hmm. It turns out that the rules are different, that you have to follow very carefully the rules of government and the public sector in terms of transparency and effectiveness and what you can and you can't do. But when you understand the environment and work with Congress, because there's checks and balances, you then can move the needle this much. And if you move the needle a little bit, you can create enormous impact. We had $100 billion in the loan portfolio at SBA. We would help tens of thousands of small businesses in the credit crunch get access to capital. We counseled 1 million small businesses a year, mostly for free. And all of those interactions really helped as the economy emerged from this terrible recession and got back on its feet. In my career, I came out of Harvard in 1975. There were not a lot of women. I was an economics major. I went to Harvard Business School. There were not a lot of women, about 11% of the class. And then I went, after a period of time, into General Foods, and then McKinsey, and then into the early stages of private equity and venture capital, which turns out there weren't a lot of women. But I always felt like I was doing what I wanted to do and what I was well suited to do. I'm a manufacturing expert. It's in my blood. So I think what's important is that you pick the road that is right for you, where you feel like this is what you like, this is what you want to be good at, this is the environment that you want to be in. And then others, like myself now at this stage, need to be able to provide mentorship and access and networks. One of my favorite things about this job is that the women of the cabinet all had dinner every month. Turned out to be every 6 weeks because the schedules, but we developed a network and we were able to work between agencies and get things done. When the recession was really difficult, I was standing behind the president in a warehouse in Maryland. And I was standing in what we call the potted plant position, you know, where you sort of have your hands behind you and you try to stay very still for a long period of time. And Tim Geithner and I were there, and the president was talking about the recession, and he finished his prepared remarks. And I knew he was done, and then he kept talking, and I didn't know what he was going to say. And he looked out and he said, to all you small businesses out there, I know that times are tough, and I can only imagine what difficulty you're going through, but you can be sure that this administration will do everything we can to help you succeed, because when you succeed, America succeeds. And I knew at that moment that I had a job to do. I had the support of my boss, the president, and that we were going to succeed in helping small business and helping America move forward. I've enjoyed all of the study groups and all of the students that came. But there was a real sense of excitement in the room when Scott Griffin, who was the CEO of Zipcar, came, and also Steve Case, who is one of the founders of AOL. And they talked about entrepreneurship and their experiences in growing businesses. And Scott Griffin particularly talked about purpose and having a company that also has a purpose and how that energizes all of the employees and all of the customers, in fact. So profit with a purpose, or purposeful companies, really hit a note in that room, and you could hear a pin drop as he was describing his journey with Zipcar. So that was a great moment. To all the students out there who haven't gotten involved yet in the IOP, what I have found is that this is a remarkable place, that you can come take as much of it as you wish, and that if you want, if you find it appealing, do public service. It's not the same thing as community service. It really is an engagement with our democratic process that is critical to this nation's future. And the more young people who get involved in a positive way, the better for the future of our country.